There have been few games ever made that can claim to truly have a story that leaves a lasting impression on the player. Spec Ops The Line is one of those games. Its narrative is powerful and transfixing, but also horrific and hard to sit through. It's clear that the developers poured their souls into fabricating the morbidly dark tale that the game tells, full of subtle moments of choice that make you question everything you're doing. This passion for the story makes Spec Ops what it is, and being as it's aged nicely and fallen to a reasonable $18, now is the time to play this game if you have not yet, and here's why. Without giving too much away, the plot of Spec Ops The Line is this. 6 months ago, Dubai faced the worst sandstorm in recorded history, and the 33rd Battalion of the US Army volunteered to lead an evacuation mission into the city to save civilians. They didn't make it back. Finally, after half a year's silence, a single radio transmission is received, and you're sent in with your fire team of 3 to discover what's happened in the city and attempt to save any survivors. From this relatively simple premise spawns one of the most heavy, depressing, and human stories in gaming. Despite appearing like a generic American tactical shooter from the beginning, things quickly descend into hell, and you're forced into making painfully uncomfortable decisions that have subtle consequences. And, unlike games like Mass Effect, these choices are never made obvious, nor are they made black and white. Morally, you have to pick between bad and worse, life and death, playing God. It's both terrible and terrific in that the game makes you look at yourself and see what you're capable of. It pushes you to the very limits of your humanity, and it makes you judge your own soul. It's a unique form of emotional torture that leaves you thinking about the game long after you've completed the campaign. Admittedly, the game is starting to show its age after 2 years, and it won't stand up to the likes of Crysis 3 or Battlefield 4, but it's nonetheless gorgeous. The attention to detail shows quite obviously how much time and love went into crafting the world you're exploring, and it makes Dubai feel alive, or rather, very, very dead. Children's drawings line the walls of destroyed schools. Graffiti tells the tale of the city, and the litter, the corpses, and the grit all make this world feel lived in and hollowed out. The game has moments of truly haunting imagery that will linger with you. Of course, being a game in a desert with a sandstorm means that the effects of dust, sand, and sunlight are all marvelously well done. It's breathtaking at times to enter a room and see the sunlight cascading through the windows and the dust illuminating as it dances through the air. When the game shines, it's absolutely beautiful. Sound design is another place the game excels. All the weapons sound punchy, and the developers took the time to try and make sure everything sounds unique, and to complete the immersion of the game right down to even having the sound of glass bottles scuttling along the ground when you accidentally kick them. It's this attention to detail that helps draw you further into the world they've created and to feel for the characters. All the voice actors do a great job with their parts, making the NPCs feel alive and individual rather than cardboard clones. While of course your two allies, Adams and Lugo, both sound excellent, with the exception of the occasional joke from Lugo, it's in the enemy characters that personally I find the voice acting shines. There are times when you'll run into a pair of unwitting foes and catch them mid-conversation, and you'll sympathize with how human and innocent they sound, and it makes you question pulling the trigger to end their existence. Few games, especially shooters, make you think before attacking, and it's a brilliant experience. Aside from the storytelling, the game plays wonderfully. The controls are nicely mapped, though it did take some time getting used to spacebar for sprint, but the player character does feel responsive. The cover system is also well thought out. By binding sprint and cover to the same key in-game, you're able to sprint towards debris and slide quickly to avoid enemy fire all in one move. And once in cover, you're able to choose how you peek out with the WSAD keys, or blind fire over the cover with reduced accuracy to prevent incoming damage. The UI for this game is really well done, being very minimal in order to avoid breaking immersion in the game, while also providing useful features like the ability to see a dotted trail when throwing a grenade to help place your explosives accurately. As far as how the game plays though, it might be something you get frustrated by. Enemy weapons are very lethal, ending your life in only a couple shots, and when you die, you're often sent all the way back to the last cutscene, which tends to get annoying quickly. Ammunition is also very scarce, forcing you to scavenge from the ground. While this all adds to the game's sense of fear and desperation, it might be a deterrent for some. Overall, it's a solid third-person shooter that presents a good challenge at higher difficulties. Spec Ops The Line is one of those games you have to experience at least once in your life. It's brutal, painful, sad, and leaves you feeling empty, and yet it's for that reason that the game stands out so much. It's so rare for a game to chisel at the psyche and make you doubt every decision you make. Fun really isn't in this game's vocabulary. What it is cannot be described so simply. It's sobering, genius, and awful all at the same time, and it's absolutely worth the asking price.